And that's what needs to happen to protect the planet, to protect us all from pandemics, is that combination of legislation with awareness.
Be a Humane Being, Scrap Factory Farming for People, Planet, and Animals. Part 1 of 2. Continue watching to find out more.
Greetings, compassionate viewers. Longani ani. My name is Jeremy. I just said good day to you in Torres Strait Creole, the English-based language spoken on several Torres Strait Islands. The nature-loving Torres Strait Islanders send you sweet sea breeze, delightful sunshine, and heartfelt good wishes. Welcome to part 1 of our 2-part program, Be a Humane Being, Scrap Factory Farming for People, Planet and Animals. The Humane Being is a UK-based non-profit vegan advocacy group run by dedicated volunteers aiming to support people with raised awareness, information, ideas, and encouraging action towards creating a kinder, truly humane world. We are privileged to have Jane Tredgett, the founder and director of Humane Being and founder of Scrap Factory Farming. Also, David Finney, the spokesperson of Scrap Factory Farming, joining us on our show today. They start by sharing their vegan journeys.
I ate meat for about 40 years, and when I was 42, I remember being at a meditation group and everyone was vegetarian, and I got talking to people, and that's when I went vegetarian. It was a surprise to myself as much as anyone else. The vegan bit actually came quite a long time afterwards, about 11 years later. Wish I'd started earlier, but hey. So yeah, I've been vegan for about 5 years now.
I was an animal advocate right from the age of being about 12. I remember doing my first sponsored swim to raise money for the RSPCA. But I only became vegetarian when I was a consumer in my own right after I'd finished at university. And I remember distinctly sitting in a Chinese restaurant eating Peking duck and thinking, why am I doing this? This is completely wrong. So I went vegetarian at that point, but I didn't go vegan until actually a lot longer. 30 years I was vegetarian, and I only went vegan 3 years ago.
Through a long journey from vegetarian to vegan diets, what Jane and David have experienced has helped them recognise what the most needed actions are at this crucial time. Jane tells us how they got into the Scrap Factory Farming campaign.
I was involved in the RSPCA for 18 years, with 10 years on the national board as a trustee and 18 years at local level as a volunteer. And I really started to have a look around at what other organisations were out there. And I wanted to bring an organisation forward that helped people to think about what was happening to the planet and animals, and to join the dots up of what the correlation was. There were a lot of organisations at the time that were helping animals. There were a lot of environmental organisations, but there were very few at the time were actually aligning those two messages. So that's really how we started looking at bringing the messages forward. And we created a not-for-profit organisation called Humane Being. I set up a website to provide resources and information for people. We were running stalls and talks, really looking at how we could add value. We didn't want to replicate what was out there, but perhaps linking people to find what was already out there. And then David came into my life, where we were introduced by a mutual friend, and David brought the idea of the legal case, and from that we started the journey of Scrap Factory Farming.
In fact, the legal campaign, Scrap Factory Farming, was inspired by a book called Chicken's Lib by Claire Druce that David Finney read about.
The initial trigger for the whole legal aspect of what we're doing came from a book that I was given to read called Chicken's Lib by a lady called Claire Druce. And I started reading the book and I thought, wow, this lady's been campaigning for chickens for years. But she was demonstrating that she believed that factory farming was illegal with reference to the UK Animal Welfare Act. And I remember talking to her on the phone. I said, "You're expressing what a lot of people feel." So that was the initial kind of trigger for scrap factory farming.
Kind viewers, we will pause for a short message. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back, perceptive viewers. The organisation Chickens Live was set up in early 1970 by Claire and her mother, Violet Spalding. They worked tirelessly through the 80s and 90s to change the law on battery farmed chickens. The book, Chickens Live, is a remarkable record of boldness and dedication, detailing how these two brave women challenged the government, MAFF, Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Food, and the poultry industry, by first bringing attention to the British public to the conditions in which chickens lived, and then managing to get the law changed on battery farmed chickens. The book is considered an insider's account of their campaigns. It's a must-read history of the campaign against battery cages. Claire explained.
The main thrust of my book is that all these factory farming systems are illegal. We have got a European convention demanding that conditions for farmed animals allow the fulfilment of natural behaviour patterns. And it's an absolute disgrace because this quite clearly isn't happening. Criminal prosecutions are needed to establish this illegality.
When we first started, we were focusing on a particular clause in the Animal Welfare Act that we thought was being breached. We consulted with various legal teams and we realised that there was a lot more going on about factory farming. We knew there was environmental impacts coming from the industry. More research led us to realise the health issues were just as alarming. So our legal team said this is going to be much stronger if we present all three. So our key messages have always been people, animals and planet, because everyone is affected by factory farming.
So our aim is quite simple. We want to scrap factory farming and see it finished for the good of people, the good of the planet, and also to protect animals.
A big round of applause for Humane Being for picking up the baton to urge the government into passing a law to stop animal livestock raising for good. Humane Being views past campaigns such as drinking and driving and smoking in public being successful due to raising public awareness and getting people to realise the importance of changes needed and backing it up by legislative reinforcement.
These are all behavioural changes that have been for the better of us all, but weren't things that necessarily were popular at the time. But what was successful about them is that these were all about raising awareness with individuals, promoting the messages of why it was important, but backed by legislative change. And that's what needs to happen to protect the planet, to protect us all from pandemics, is that combination of legislation with awareness.
As a product of human civilization, law is basically a set of rules that are created and enforced by a country or community through social or governmental institutions to regulate the actions of its members. So far, due to their benevolent heritage, only in India it is illegal to kill cows in some states, and in the state of Gujarat, the penalty for killing a cow is life imprisonment. The National Indian Constitution states it shall be the fundamental duty of every citizen of India to protect and improve the natural environment, including forest, lakes, rivers and wildlife, and to have compassion for all living creatures. The Ahimsa practice is built into the Indian Constitution, and it is a national treasurable inheritance, all due to the strong influence of Hinduism. We sincerely pray that India's valuable example of be compassionate to our co-inhabitants is more widely adopted within our societies, with enforceable legislation that redefines acceptable behaviour towards animals. The world-renowned spiritual leader, Supreme Master Ching Hai, made a resounding alert of the final judgment that we're facing currently during a conference with Supreme Master television team members in December 2020.
It's all the blessing power. Very strong nowadays, okay? Because it's the final judgment time. Everybody knows that. Okay, huh?
Yes, Master.
That's why many of the predictions say in 2012, more or less, is the time that we say sayonara to this world and to our bodies. But because of the leniency of heaven, so we are still here. Okay? Yes. Yes. But many, many disasters to warn humankind. Yes. But just to give them the last ever chance to U-turn, to repent, to get the blessing, to all be liberated. And it's a time for retribution. No one can do anything about it. I can rescue the souls only if they repent. Physically speaking, they have to go through this time of cleansing and payment.
Bright viewers, do you agree it's time to show our worth by making a covenant with God when we repent for exploiting animals? In this modern world, we do need laws to declare animals' rights as sentient beings on this planet, entitling them to share the resources with other beings. We also need laws to protect them from being harmed by others. The law to mediate the relations between humans and our animal co-inhabitants should be written into public laws, including constitutional law, administrative law, and criminal law. We would like to conclude today's program with the song Before It's Too Late, composed and sung by David Finney.
Factory farming is harming our planet and all the creatures suffer so. On our knees now, disease is a legacy we are leaving to our young. Feel their pain, see their eyes, hear their screams, lose their lives while their homelands burn in smoke. It's a tragic winter play, it's a poison takeaway, and so we must save the day before it's too late.
Factory farming is harming our planet. It causes greenhouse gas emissions, loss of wildlife habitat and biodiversity, antibiotic resistance, the spread of disease, and great suffering to billions of farm animals.
Welcome to part 2 of Be a Humane Being, Scrap Factory Farming for People, Planet and Animals. For why the campaign is called Scrap Factory Farming, David explains.
The scrap name itself is an acronym. The reason we chose scrap factory farming is because scrap was an acronym that we felt expressed everything we wanted to say. The S in scrap is for suffering. The C in the scrap acronym is all about climate chaos. So the ravaging of the planet, the deforestation and forest fires is absolutely connected to factory farming. The A is antibiotic resistance. So what's happening in a lot of farms is that the amount of antibiotics given to animals is getting to the point where we understand a superbug is developing, and that superbug is becoming resistant to the antibiotics, and there's some very scary stories about how this is going to affect us in the future unless we get this under control. And the P is for pandemics. We're in the middle of one now, and disease is rife in when you got lots of animals in close confinement. And so we just see there are so many reasons to scrap factory farming. Factory farming to us is one of the most urgent issues facing the world right now. And that's why we really believe we've got to scrap factory farming ASAP.
In December 2020, as the first part of the legal challenge for the campaign, the barristers of scrap factory farming submitted a letter to EFRA, Environment, Food and Rural Affairs Parliamentary Committee, UK, demanding answers about the government's plans for factory farming. It is believed to be the first challenge of its kind in the world. In response to asking what their expectations are from the UK Secretary of State for EFRA on whether the government has considered the risks caused by factory farming, thus consider banning factory farming or remove subsidies for it. Spokesperson of Scrap Factory Farming, David Finney, replied,
"It would be good if the government, for instance, came back and said, we are reviewing factory farming in detail, and this is when it'll happen, and this is when it will be completed by." But of course, even better is, yes, we agree, it makes sense, we are going to phase out factory farming.
So at the moment, we're waiting for the Secretary of State for EFRA to come back to us with an answer from the first letter. Once they come back, if they come back, as David said, and said, we're going to review all factory farming, then that might be the end of where we need to go. But if they come back and say something very different to that, which is much more likely, then we have to put the next step in. We have to take another approach to going back and communicating with them before anything sort of happens. So it really is quite difficult for us to say. We've just literally got to take each step as it comes and take guidance from our fantastic legal team as to what we do.
Although the core team at Humane Being is small, the legal team of the campaign is headed by the prominent QC Michael Mansfield, a highly respected human rights lawyer and animal rights campaigner, joined by barristers Lorna Hackett and Philip Rule.
The core team of volunteers is about 10 of us, and if we counted everyone, it would probably be about 50 or 60 people have all put time and effort in to make this happen and to make it work so far.
Loving viewers, we will pause for a short message. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back, attentive viewers. The United Kingdom is among the top leading Western countries known to be kindest to animals, and historically was the first country in the world to implement laws protecting animals. The Cruel Treatment of Cattle Act, enacted in 1822, known also as Martin's Act, was one of the first pieces of animal welfare legislation that made it a crime to inflict cruelty or suffering upon farm animals. However, it did not protect the general welfare of the animals nor their legal rights. The worst punishment for any breach was a modest fine. A similar situation in the United States. Laws such as the Federal Animal Welfare Act 1966, for example, regulate what humans may do to animals in agriculture, biomedical research, entertainment and other areas. Neither Martin's Act nor many subsequent animal protection statutes altered the traditional legal status of animals as properties or legal things. Speaking with Jane and David of Humane Being, we learned that they are ambitious about what they might achieve in the future. This includes the possibility of establishing a legal entity status for animals.
Jane has big ambitions for Humane Being and what it might achieve in the future. I mean, I can remember being in Nepal and, watching cows all over the streets and then asking why they're all there and people saying, well, it's illegal to kill a cow here. You can't do it. And I thought, wow, illegal to kill an animal. That might be something to strive for. But I think certainly in the short term, we have to preserve this word sentience. And when we came out of Europe, it was looking vulnerable. And I guess there must be a lot of us who think we don't need sentience to be in legislation to know that animals are sentient. We all know it. But the fact that it was there and then it's at risk of coming out makes that really important. To recognise the rights of animals and to understand that they have feelings and that they grieve and that they have emotions, and the evidence is everywhere. So I think that may be something to look at.
Having the king of human rights works, Michael Mansfield QC, in their legal team, scrap factory farming could serve as a vital first step to paving the way for animals to realise a legal entity status. Mr. Michael Mansfield QC believes the government should introduce tighter legislation to make activities which destroy the natural world illegal. In September 2019, he called out for a new law on ecocide to go alongside genocide and the other crimes against humanity, under which eating meat could be illegal. The world-renowned spiritual leader, Supreme Master Ching Hai, approved such proposal and urged the governors to exercise their power to rescue the lives of animals and humans in a conference with Supreme Master Television team members in 2021.
If the planet has trouble, if all people or any people are killed because of the climate change, the government leaders, I say, are guilty because they have the power to stop it, to change it. I hope they rethink about that so they don't have to go down to hell and answer to the king of hell or the Maya waiting for them, Satan waiting for them. Like we attract like. No need to say that I'm threatening anybody. You are in power, you're in privilege, you are well paid, you're getting rich by the taxpayers of your country. You should do what you must do in order to rescue your people. And if you don't, then you're guilty of murdering humans, not just animals. I'm telling you the truth like that.
Humane Being is positive about our future of a kinder world and ambitious in what we could all achieve together.
I really believe the world can be a better, more compassionate place. And if all the people who care join together, if we all use our voices together, if we all use our purses together and get heard, we really absolutely can persuade others to join us. The movement for veganism it's absolutely amazing what's happened out there now. And the people who are against factory farming, there are so many people who don't like factory farming for all the reasons that we've talked about. We absolutely must come together and move things forward, and we can do it if everybody sort of thinks, yeah, I can make a difference, and gets out there and contributes something to it.
Yeah, I totally agree with Jane, and just keep pushing and keep making things happen. There's a lot of change that can be done, and we've demonstrated in the past as a race that massive change can come from small beginnings.
My wish or vision for the world would be for cruelty to people and animals to stop, and for us all just to simply live in harmony with each other, with nature, with other species, and make this planet a joint home for us all that we can all enjoy.
My vision for the world is we confine violence to history. The way we're treating our planet is so upsetting. We don't have to behave like our ancestors. We can choose a different path.
Humane Beings scrap factory farming may be the world's first legal challenge in asking a government to stop animal livestock raising, and they hope this could spark a global movement to scrap factory farming, so they are determined to do it despite all the challenges. To fund the case's legal fees of £60,000, they launched a campaign with crowd justice fundraising. Same-minded viewers may support this noble endeavour at crowdjustice.com/case/scrap factory farming / Our deep gratitude and prayers for your success, Humane Being, and all involved in the scrap factory farming campaign. May all governments take urgent actions to end animal suffering and thus build a sustainable vegan future in God's mercy.
Factory farming is harming our planet, and all the creatures suffer so. On our knees now, disease is a legacy we are leaving to our young. Feel their pain, see their eyes, hear their screams, lose their lives, while their whole lives burn in smoke. It's a tragic winter play, it's a poison takeaway, and so we must save the day before it's too late.
Factory farming is harming our planet. It causes greenhouse gas emissions, loss of wildlife habitat and biodiversity, antibiotic resistance, the spread of disease, and great suffering to billions of farm animals.
To learn more about Humane Being and the campaign Scrap Factory Farming, please visit humanebeing.org.uk/crowdjustice.com/case/scrap factory farming /. Supreme Master Ching Hai joyfully presents the Shining World Compassion Award to Humane Being, plus $10,000 as a token of supporting their noble efforts, with high praises and heartfelt appreciation for your precious vision and noble endeavour on behalf of all beings. May your campaign and all involved enjoy continued great success in heaven's forever grace. Supreme Master Ching Hai is deeply grateful to the beloved God for all the financial help, comfort and support to the afflicted and needy, and or any good cause over the years as a humble vessel for His compassion and love towards His precious children. Compassionate viewers, thank you for your company today. Coming up next is Parents Are the Best Gift on This Planet, Part 3 of 5 on Between Master and Disciples, right after noteworthy news. May heavenly light shine on our souls and awaken our loving nature, so that soon all beings in the world we'll have peace.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/VEG.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule et suprememastertv.com/VEG.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule y suprememastertv.com/VEG.
I nostri programmi sono offerti in molte lingue. Consultate suprememastertv.com/schedule e suprememastertv.com/VEG